We're not allowed to tell students they don't need to show up? Okay. Back in senior year of high school. Last year of HS. I had an amazing English teacher. Very engaging and passionate about what he did. A great class to have first period. Well, the class is all seniors. And it was the end of the year and finals were coming up. You know how that goes. Our school schedule for finals was 2 periods classes per day for 3 days. The administration, weary of senioritis and kids skipping class, warned the teachers that they must hold class on the day of their scheduled final and that they cannot tell the students that they do not need to show up. So my teacher, the week before finals, gets up in front of the whole class and says, "For our final, we will be watching a movie. Now, the administration has told me that I am not allowed to tell you that you do not have to show up to this final." He stares at us and pauses for a few seconds. So I will not do so. Needless to say, I got some extra ZZs that finals week. My high school favorite, "Hey Mr. C, can I go to McDonald's?" No, less than 3 minutes later, "Mr. C, can I go to the bathroom?" Yeah. Bring me back a coffee. I'm a high school teacher and last year I had a student ask me, "Hey Mr. M, if I were to sign myself out and go get donuts for everyone, would you let me go?" To which I responded, "I'm almost certain I can't say yes to that. But if you need to use the restroom, you're more than welcome to go." I gave him a wink. He left, came back and brought everyone donuts. My chemistry teacher did something similar. I can't tell you not to come to class for the last day of school. I can tell you that whoever's in class will be helping me wash beakers and tubes for storage. I have no idea if anyone showed up. It's been nearly 20 years. But as I recall, my high school was just smart enough to give up. I think we had to do our finals early so they could do the math and make sure we were graduating, leaving nothing to do during finals. So, we didn't have any. Just grad practice. I had a high school student come in late after lunch. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so. Kid puts a parfait on my desk and goes to her seat and says nothing if I'd marked her late. She wasn't going to make a fuss. It was the confidence that I appreciated. But the parfait helped. We all have our price. And that hit mine. Seems weird to me. In my country, state, all classes completely finish a full week before exams even begin. Students get a whole week of pure study time plus the exams run over a 2-week period. These were statewide assessments though. Not marked by your school teachers. 5th period after lunch was dual credit accounting. If you did UIL for accounting, you went off from the rest of the class and had a huge module study document to get through. My group of 5 was like 6 weeks ahead in the huge booklet. Unwritten rule was to show up late after lunch and bring the teacher Chick-fil-A. In the mid-90s I had a AFJROTC instructor senior year that let my friend and I come into his classroom to help put together shelves at the end of the year for like a week. He wrote us all-day passes. And he let us run out to get tools from my buddy's house with the condition that we were back before school let out and we had made the shelves by Friday. Lol, it was one shelf that actually only took like 10 minutes for one person to assemble. Sarge was the man. I had a professor in intro-level uni who used to get around the finals mandate by having you show up. Handwrite, "I am happy with my current standing and would like it as my final grade," on a sheet and then sign the bottom. My school had what we called senior privileges. They were small things like a reserved parking lot, getting out of class 5 minutes early at the end of the day, our own lunch line. And best of all, no finals for the last semester of your senior year if your grades were high enough. In fact, if you didn't need to take finals, you were just dismissed for the last 10 days of your senior year. I still remember in senior year bringing in a note to the principal. Robert ER5 was celebrating senior skip day Friday 5/3. He had my permission, signed by my father. Reminds me of a teacher I had once. But this would be malicious non-compliance. So sadly I can't post it here. I was in grade 12 chemistry class with one of the best teachers in existence. This guy made everything fun, interesting, and accessible. He was clear, concise, didn't ramble, had multiple ways of explaining the same concept for people whose minds worked differently than others, etc. One day we come into class, and he shows us a letter that he's been sent about how he needs to stop having explosions in his class, and to stop letting kids out of class early. We'd sometimes get out up to 5 minutes early if we'd finished the material for the day. So the lesson for the day begins. He teaches us about electrolysis by running electricity through hydrogen peroxide. IIRC. May have just been H2O and not H2O2. He then demonstrates how explosive hydrogen is by igniting the collected hydrogen. He then shows us how the explosion has produced water. He then goes away for a moment to fill up a large can, roughly a 1-gallon tin can, with methane gas. He had to go to another room because the gas had been turned off in his room. He promptly punched a hole in the can, lit the escaping gas on fire, and then demanded that we study it closely and write down what we observe about the fire as it burns. It burns steadily for a few minutes, and then starts to weaken and sputter, sometimes nearly going out, sometimes coming back just as strong if not stronger than before. Finally, it seems like the flame is about to extinguish entirely, when suddenly, bang, the can rockets about 3 feet into the air. He's demonstrated to us how you can have a consistent and controlled burn of natural gas, methane, but as soon as the flame dips inside the container of gas, it will cause an explosion. After the class had settled down, he dismissed us. All of this took about 20 minutes of the 55 minutes of class. Mr. Licht, you taught me more in your classes than I learned in the rest of high school combined. There's the right way and the way things really work. This was the second one. England. The pub owner's daughter was in year 11. Every Friday she would be let out of class to take lunch orders. Every Friday a good half of the faculty and some of the upper sixth would have lunch and a pint before afternoon class. My high school chem teacher had donut day on Fridays for seniors. Each week one set of lab partners would bring in donuts for everyone. He got seniors to show up to first period at 8 a.m. all year. I worked at the grocery store, so when the kids would come in to buy donuts I would set them on the scale and weigh them as cabbage. I did get bullied a lot less after that. Reminds me of a teacher I had senior year. Izzy. He was a young teacher in that his senior year of high school there was a kid attending for 8th grade algebra during 0 hour. That 8th grade kid was in Izzy's class his senior year. Like I said, young. He usually didn't care if we showed up a little late occasionally as long as it wasn't an ongoing issue and you actually did the work in the class. One day quite a few of the students were off on a trip to view colleges, so the class attendance was very low. On the board he had written that we were going to watch a film about the ethics of business on society, or something equally boring. We pleaded not to watch the film. He was not having it. starts up the film and is shocked to find that Billy Madison is playing. Why, however, did this happen? The late policy did backfire on the valedictorian once. She went to get coffee before class and didn't know the principal or dean or someone would be in our class that morning. To be fair, no one else knew either until we showed up. Oops. Reminds me of my senior English teacher from high school. To this day, years later, he's still my all-time favorite teacher. And, I admit, the unknowing object of a minor crush on my part. But he was objectively a fantastic teacher who made me love writing. My final year was great. Being an adult for most of it meant I could sign myself out. Teachers were cool, letting us know what days were important and which were if you needed help. I had a professor or two in college who would say that we had 3 big tests, 2 midterms and a final. But only your best 2 scores counted. So you could take a final if you needed a grade boost, but if you were fine, there was no penalty to skip the last day. I just say, if I were a student, I'd stop coming to school after day. For some very stupid reason, our district made the last day of school a Monday. Like any learning is going to happen that day.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.